Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour live on this Friday. A little under the weather today. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up last night and I went, oh, no. I may have fallen victim. But you know what? I'm going to use my super brain power to convince myself that I am not getting sick. It's been going around. Eric was, obviously, as most of you know, was super. He got the super bug. I don't think I've got anything like that. At least I hope not. But we're going to power through it. It is Friday. Put a couple shots of Jack in the coffee. That'll snap you right out of it. The website, allamericangold.com. Make sure you check it out today. Ramon's got all kinds of great things up there to keep you educated and keep you in the know. I'm not sure if we're having Fake News Friday. So I'm going to leave that to Jason. We're working on a lot of things in Colorado now. We are feeding through Colorado after daylight savings time. I'm not sure. I'll be surprised. I'll see what happens. We may have that in the next segment. We may not. But if we do, I am fully prepared to win this time. I've been on a cold streak, but I'm ready to snap out of it. Not a lot going on. It is quadruple witching, which just means all the funds out there are squaring the books, if you will, for the I guess the quarterly, whatever it may be. And so we could get some heavy movement later in the day when it comes to stocks. Right now, the Dow's not doing a whole lot at all. It's like basically flat. Gold rebounding. I told you yesterday. Buy. That was my recommendation yesterday. Gold's up about $9 now, 1,304. Silver. Again, silver rebounded as well. Silver's $15.30. Yesterday we were running, those silver rounds. I've got 25 rolls left. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to change the price. I'll leave it at the price from yesterday at the $325 a roll on silver rounds. So if you're looking to get into the silver market and looking to be as close to spot as possible, well, here you go. Less than $1 over spot at 800-951-0592. We did have some manufacturing data out. Big slowdown. I guess big. We're slowing down. The New York Empire Index barely stayed in positive territory. This was a February number, so we're back to being current with the numbers. And then we had a miss on industrial production. That's production for the entire country was only up a single tenth. Wasn't negative, but the lowest it's been in some time. Kind of driving, I guess, if you will, the market. We had consumer confidence out. And then we had soft data points, consumer confidence, which improved after the government shutdown. And then JOLTS released its jobs openings. Yeah, we got like 7-point-something million jobs available for everybody. None of them are full-time, but they're out there allegedly. The biggest growth in jobs, well, one of the biggest growths, government was very, very strong. And then they had something called information. I don't know what that means. Spying on people? I don't know. But information, government was a big one. Retail, on the negative side, retail was the biggest drag. That actually made sense, at least to me anyway. And I'm trying to just see who there's one other one. Wholesale trade. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but according to this number, 91,000 new jobs in wholesale trade. Now, we're in a trade war, but again, it's hard to really put any value in a lot of these things. Real estate. Everybody wants to be a realtor, but here's what I loved about it. Sorry about that. I apologize. I'm toughing it out here today. Real estate and rental and leasing. Now, that's a number I can believe. Right? If you live here in the Valley, you've seen a million apartment complexes, 60,000 new jobs in real estate, mostly rental and leasing, right? You can show an apartment to somebody. Government came in at 59,000. The information number, again, I don't know what information. Maybe they're going to work for Facebook and Google, 42,000. And then on the negative side, retail down 98. Arts and entertainment. Arts and entertainment down 97,000. And recreation. Apparently, no one's got any money to go on vacation. That was down 40,000. Those were the big numbers for the day. Like I said, mostly quadruple witching. It is St. Patty's Day this weekend. So if you're planning on, getting the green on and eating the corned beef and calling in sick to work on Monday, you got to do like I did. Pretend you're sick today. And that way the boss won't be expecting you on Monday. But, yeah, this Sunday, St. Patty's Day. And I don't understand the whole – I do, obviously St. Patrick's Day and the Irish thing, but it's kind of turned into this whole big thing where everybody wants to be Irish, but only for a day. Right? Only for a day. So Sunday, party responsible. I'll try to get clear my throat here and be back for the next segment. 800-951-0592. A little under the weather, Joe Jaquint here, Patriot Radio News Hour. Happy Friday. St. Patty's Day coming this weekend. Everyone's going to be Irish for a day. We're talking a lot about debt and all those things that are happening, whether it's national debt, right? We made a big deal now, the Trump budget for 2020, guaranteeing really big deficit numbers. And, of course, I told you that a year ago. I said, get ready. 2018 was bad. 2019 is going to be worse. 2020 is going to be worse. 2021. And then 2022, things really, really get interesting. But I found this, and it made me kind of laugh because it's about Congress. And somebody, and not me, somebody much smarter than me, put this thing together. It turns out that between 2004 and 2012, okay, now why 2004 to 2012, I have no idea. This is just what the study was doing. And it said the average American's net worth increased 3.7%. Now, I'm thinking this is an 8-year period, and let's just do the fake 2% inflation from the Fed, right? Because we know it's much more than that. You'd have to be about 16 to stay even. So another example of us falling behind. But guess who did stay even? Members of Congress. Yep, they averaged 15.4% annual gains over the same time period. One of the things, too, that they talked about was the benefits of being an elected official in Congress. And the pension fund. Each retired member of Congress can start collecting a pension at age 62 if they spent just 5 years in Congress. So you got to make it 5 years. And they collect 80% of their salary. Jason, the echo is really getting pronounced. If you can help us, that would be wonderful. 80% of the $174,000. That's apparently that's the annual salary for a member of Congress. So think about this: at 62, if they made it 5 years, they get $139,200 for the rest of their lives. Where's the 401k plan for them? I know how we could save a few bucks. Right? They took the pensions away from us and gave us that crappy 401k, which won't even allow you to keep up with the price of inflation. So $140,000 essentially for the rest of their lives. And like I said, 5 years. I'd be one of those guys. I'd be a senator like one term. Give me my 6 years and head for the hills. And the thing about the fund is it's guaranteed. It is personally secured by the taxpayer, and the taxpayers, obviously our taxes and whatnot. And according to at least from what I'm reading here, they're going to get those benefits no matter what happens. Yeah, so some of you that are, maybe you had a pension back in the day and it's gone bankrupt, and you only get, 60% of it or 50% or 40%. I want you all to know, don't worry, because our elected officials, no matter what happens, their pensions are fully covered. Yeah, you think it's stacked against us? This is the problem. And one of the things that I think all of us really despise about politics and all of this, and I try not to dive too far into politics. I'll leave that for other guys, right? You can get that on Rush or somebody else. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, they're all the same. It's just a little bit of a different color. But at the end of the day, they're all the same. And when you look at it, all they want to do is they want to spend the money, they want you to live off of the crumbs, and then they want you to be happy about it. And I just thought, man, 5 years, that's it, 5 years, and you get 80% of your pay for the rest of your life. Right? Where do you sign up for that gig? Where does that happen anywhere else in America? Nowhere. It just makes no sense. I mean, I guess there's I didn't even know, 432 people in the House, 174,000. That's only $75 million a year. And I'm just trying to say, I wonder what it is. The article doesn't say. I wonder how much we're paying right now to all the elected officials that are now retired, that were there at least 5 years, and they just get that check month after month after month after month after month. I don't even want to think about it. It's shameful is what it is. And this is all the things, you think about, why did they get rid of the pension? Why did they bring on the 401k? It's so the stock price could go up. Right? They rewrote all these laws that used to be in effect that were actually there to protect us. And we let the bankers run wild. And I can keep going back to our founding fathers. I know, those old white guys. And they talked about the money changers, the bankers. And they warned everybody. Right now they want you to think that the Constitution it's just an old, out-of-date piece of paper written by racists. Don't forget that part. But they warned us. Why they wanted the currency to be gold and silver. Because they knew that the bankers would rob you. I mean, that's just what it is. Study fiat currency, study fiat money, study fractional banking. Listen, that's what it's designed to do. 8-year period, your quote-unquote net worth, net wealth goes up 3%. But they say 2% inflation a year. And of course, we know the real number is what? I don't even know I wonder what the real number is. I don't think I want to know. Is it 5, 7, 10? And the thing that really gets me is the things that are the biggest hits to your wallet are the ones that have gone up the most, right? Rents, mortgages. Right? We just talked about it yesterday. Mortgages now, the balance, all-time record highs. Right? You go to the all these new leasing agents out there. You start looking around at all these apartments. Rent is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I'm talking about a crappy 2-bedroom apartment, and they want $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. We don't live in Manhattan. I don't even know what it is. Manhattan's probably like $10,000. I don't know. Auto payments, right? Healthcare payments, right? These are the biggest pieces of our budget on a monthly basis. They are skyrocketing. And they tell us 2%. We have no chance for our incomes to make up for that. It just can't happen. And they're patting themselves on the back. Oh, look at wages. They grew 3% one time. I don't mean to get excited about it, but, I mean, come on. What about the other 10 years before that? Didn't grow at all, right? And, of course, we know most of it's all at the minimum wage level. And then they end up doing what? Like the Amazon deal. Yeah, we're going to pay you, but we're going to cut your hours. So did you really make any more money? No. But this is what was supposed to happen. Just, like I said, always start at 1971. Anybody that wants to do a comparison before that is full of it. That is when the bankers officially were in charge. Gold was now dead. Right now, of course, remember, we couldn't even own it in this country after 1933 because they knew if they allowed you to own it, you wouldn't want the dollar. Think about why did they, they confiscated the gold, then they said it was illegal to own because they knew. See, people were smarter back then. They knew about bankers. And not, hey, listen, I'm not saying that banking's a bad thing. It's not. But you can't let them be in charge, especially be in charge, and then let the wolf guard the hen house. I mean, originally, they were supposed to keep the banks in line. I mean, really, they didn't have a mandate about full employment. They didn't have a mandate about a stable dollar either. Because when they first took it, when first got put in charge in 1913, the money was gold. You didn't have to worry about it being stable. It was stable. Inflation didn't exist. How do you like it now? The other day, and I told the story when my wife and I bought our first house, and today, you can't buy a house, a starter home, if you're making 60 or 70 grand. It's not enough. It's impossible. USA Today doing the article about all these millennials, and they got $1 trillion of student loan debt, people under the age of 30. Guess what? Interest every year on those, because we know most of them aren't even paying. That number is just going to get humongous. And then we find out, guess what? Every year, they rob us a little bit. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over there. Then they tell us 2% inflation. This is the thing that really gets me, because you turn on, I don't care, CNBC, Fox, Bloomberg, all of it. They make it seem like that number is so important to your well-being. If we could just get to 2%, right? Inflation's too low. Trying to get you to believe that this is a good thing. Well, why would I want my money to be worth less? Why would anybody want that? Listen, I come in here, I work my butt off day in, day out, keep a roof over my head for my family, feed my family. And now you just want my money to be worth less? Every single year, year after year, month after month, right? Decade after decade? Who would sign up for that? Would anybody yeah, I'd like that. Yeah, give me that system. See, and it used to be okay, because when they first started it, wages would rise right along with it, right? It doesn't anymore. Not even close. Think about the last 20 years. Even with this little 3% number they threw out last month. Wages haven't really risen at all. Patriot Radio News Hour. I know reality sucks, doesn't it? We'll be back right after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative pro-family perspective since 1983 and continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. And now, from the archives of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, here is Phyllis Schlafly.
The chief reason why the liberals have been able to spread the lie that the U.S. Constitution requires separation of church and state is that the last 2 generations of Americans were not taught anything in public school about our religious heritage. Here are a few quotes from our early history. Christopher Columbus wrote, "It was the Lord who put into my mind the fact that it would be possible to sail to the Indies. The inspiration came from the Holy Spirit, because he comforted me with rays of marvelous inspiration from the Holy Scriptures." In 1607, when the settlers landed in Jamestown, Virginia, the first thing they did was to plant a cross and claim the land for Jesus Christ. William Bradford, governor of the Plymouth Colony, wrote that the mission of the Pilgrims was to advance the gospel and kingdom of Christ in the remote parts of the world. The Pilgrims signed the document known as the Mayflower Compact. It was made not with each other, but with God Almighty. The document began with the words, "In the name of God, Amen." The Northwest Ordinance, enacted by Congress in 1789, required that all schools be instituted for the purpose of teaching religion. It stated, "Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged." George Washington's famous farewell address warned us never to forget that the United States cannot be maintained without the indispensable supports of morality and religion. Benjamin Franklin at the Constitutional Convention said, "I have lived long, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men." If your child is in public school, ask him if he was ever told any of these important facts of our American history.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. When America turns our back on our Christian heritage, we shouldn't be surprised when biblical precepts like honesty, kindness, respect, justice, and freedom are abandoned. At phyllisschlafly.com, we still believe in rights endowed by our Creator. If you agree, find out more at phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592, the last of the rounds of rolls of rounds, silver rounds, $325 a roll. That puts them less than $1 over spot at 800-951-0592. Gold and silver back. I get from the sell-off yesterday, gold back above 1,300, silver back above 1,525. This morning, it's quadruple witching, whatever that means. I think this is the last. I told Jason, I'll tell you guys, this may be the last day for Wall Street. Too many data points now showing a big slowdown, and we've caught up now, right? All the data now, we've caught up from the government shutdown. And before the break, talking about wealth. talking about who in their right mind would sign up for a system like this. That every year, and they used to, part of the game was that, hey, we took away, or devalued, however you robbed. We'll use a different word. We'll say inflation. But we pay you 6, 7, 8% interest. So if you lived within your means and you put money away, hey, we paid you more in interest than we stole from you. I mean, that was the system. They don't do that anymore. You don't get paid to have your money in your savings account anymore. What do you get? 1%? 0.5%? Right, and now look at the Fed's done. We're done here. 2.4 Fed's funds rate. I don't get it. Such a weird number. And they can't raise rates anymore. Guaranteeing that from here on out, think about it. Really now, we've been over a decade now of permanent wealth destruction. They won't pay you interest to offset the quote-unquote 2% inflation. And by the way, Jason, the echo is no better. How about this? I did not time this. I didn't even know this report was coming out today. Rents. And of course, now we are a nation of renters now, aren't we? Well, I guess it's still, that's worse, much worse. Still 60-40, right? 60% own a home, 40% don't. Rent prices increased at the fastest level in a year. Aside that the break renters were getting from rising housing costs may be over. I don't know what that means. I guess what they're trying to say is, hey, housing prices have stalled out if you're a buyer. But if you're a renter, which most people, we're not quite there yet. Getting real close, aren't we? The median monthly rent. So remember that what median means. You take the person that's paying the lowest rent, the person that's taking the highest rent, and you work your way until you get to the middle. That means half the people in the country will pay less than this number, half pay more. It's the number that's shocking. $1,472 a month to rent. By the way, that's up 2.5%. And I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, come on, it doesn't work. Any type of wage gain you may have gotten is gone right there. Problem is, you haven't done anything else yet. According to a report released this week from Zillow. By the way, the Zillow is the one that let us know of the 35 largest metropolitan areas. And this is kind of the key now. Because, have you noticed what our country's turning into now? Small towns being gutted everywhere. Right? All the small towns now are what? Meth everywhere, right? There's no jobs. Everybody does meth. And everybody's got to move to big cities. Of the 35 largest cities in the country, only 2, Orlando and Pittsburgh, witnessed a slower rate of rent price appreciation. Now, that's a fancy way of saying rent didn't go down there. They just rose at a little slower pace. Instead of 2.4, maybe it was 2%. I don't even know. So everywhere you went, right, you're out there and you're like, I'm going to be a productive member of society, and I'm moving to the city to get a job. Pretty much every single city, big city in America said, hey, it's going to cost you more just to put the roof over the head. And they're sitting there trying to tell us that there's no inflation. Right? How many times do we go, inflation's back below our 2% number? Let me give you an example. Year-over-year change in home values. That's a pretty simple number, right? 7%, 7.2% is what they said the number was. This is numbers by Zillow. And yet they're telling us that we're not at 2% inflation? Can you get 7% in your savings account? How do you think this really works out? Where do you really think this is going? You think your 401k is going to help you? And it goes through here, and I'm looking at all of these cities, like Denver, Colorado. Denver, it's even worse there. The rent index for Denver, $2,000 a month in Denver? Up 3%? And they're not even one of and that's average, really. Phoenix, Arizona, up 6.8%. Right? Think about it. How does that math work? 800-951-0592. Yeah, don't worry. They're not robbing you. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 8.5. Silver's up about 20 cents this morning as the Dow has gone positive on news that Boeing says they're going to have a software upgrade for their, I don't mean to laugh, it's not funny, for their 737 planes in about 10 days. So I guess that kind of means there was an issue. And they knew. You know, it's just another example. They knew. Pilots had been complaining since the plane came out about the software and about what the plane was doing. They don't do anything. They don't care until they get caught. You know, and I start thinking about it, and I'm reading this from Zillow today. And I'm so frustrated. Because where's the media? Right? And they're bought off. They're paid for. You turn on what you're, if you're concerned about your finances, hey, we got a whole bank of channels for you now. Right? This is part of the game that they've done. Right? They think about the members of Congress. Hey, I get 80% of my pay. As soon as I turn 62, I got to serve 5 years, right? Remember, people who either work for a company like 20, 30, 40 years, right? You had your pension, right? They only got to do it 5 years, get 80% of their pay for the rest of their lives. Guaranteed. And what do we get? A 401k? Right? That was such robbery. That company, remember, they used to match it. Remember when it first came out? I don't know if you remember. But I had just entered the workforce probably about 4 years after it first got introduced. But, really, by the 90s, it was like the big thing. Right? The early 90s, it was big. And the companies were so excited to offer this great, great thing. Hey, listen, we took away these pensions. Don't worry about that. Because we're going to match you. And most of the companies, remember back in the day, they used to match dollar for dollar. Now you're lucky if they give you 25 cents. Right? And as soon as they have a couple of a bad year, what do? Take it away. Where are they? I watch it. Every time I turn it on, I almost want to just throw up because they just keep regurgitating, wages are rising, wages are rising, wages are rising. And I'm sitting there going, the little pittance that it rose doesn't keep up with all the expenses. It just doesn't. Where is the Fed is lying? The Fed is lying. The Fed is lying. Where is it? See, the problem is they know they can't do it. Because you know what? If they started doing it and started telling you the real truth, right, you'd realize, you pull your head out of your butt for a second, you'd realize what a screw job it is. Wait a minute, what? How much did rent go up? Oh, but we got low interest rates. That makes the problem even worse. Doesn't make it better. They try to tell you it's better. I know housing prices are ridiculous, but at least interest rates are low, so your payment won't be that bad. You ever figure out why prices are, if interest rates were at, say 5% or 6%, you think these housing prices would be like this? Not a chance. Not a chance. Right? They did this to us. Now we can't even afford to live. Now we can't even save any money. I think about this, and I'm thinking about all of these millennials. Right? They're out there. Maybe they finally graduated from college or not. Trying to work. Got to make all their debt payments. Now you know why they all live at home. Listen, I got so many of my friends, like I said, my oldest is only a freshman in college yet, so he's not there yet. How would he afford that? And you're thinking about if $1,400 and whatever dollars it is, that's not even a nice place. Right? Yeah, that's just the median, right? You're not living like in the luxurious lifestyle. And I think about when the boomers, Eric's almost 60 now. And he tells the story, and he's told it so many times, about when he was still in high school, working at Bridwell's Texaco, and living in an apartment, and bought a truck with his minimum wage job. Right? And of course, he was like, hey, I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Now you're lucky you get your minimum wage job. You're lucky if you get 20 hours. Lucky. Even if you had 40, let's just say you're working 40 hours at $12 an hour. I think that's what, I don't even know if we're at 12. It's only $480 a week before taxes. Right, that's like $2,000 a month. The rent's $1,450. I don't know how that works. Better wake up. Here's the thing that I worry about. That 3% net wealth you allegedly gained, as soon as Wall Street comes back to where it should be, it's all gone. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. Final segment, and Jason, I can hear you in my ear. So congratulations on that accomplishment. 800-951-0592. Still working on our new toy here, trying to figure out how it all works. Silver rounds, the last of them, $325 at 800-951-0592. But I was talking before the break. They have us, right? They use the media to come out and they regurgitate all this seasonally adjusted bull to try to make us, try to convince us that they haven't been robbing us? Right? And think about all the things that they've done just since 1971. 1971, people between the ages of 18 and 30, if they had debt, it's because they bought a home, and the home was probably like $25,000. $25,000. And I'm talking about, a nice one. Nice neighborhood, middle class. Now you get a dumpy apartment for way more, for $1,400 a month. Average cost of a house, $300 and some grand. Come on. Cars now cost more than a house did. You really think we're better off? You really think this is working? And here's the funny part. I keep telling you, we're just started on the debt super cycle. It wasn't from the $400 billion, which the national debt was in 1971, to $22 trillion. That wasn't the super cycle. That was the slow cycle. The super one starts now. Right, we're going to add another $20 trillion in 10 years. Not 40, 10. Right? The gold was $35 when they closed the gold window. And it's going to be a whole lot higher than it is. You think about today, $1,300 and change. That's nothing. $800-951-0592. We do have U.S. $20 Liberties, $1,400. That's as good as I can do. That's $94, $95, $96, $96, $97 over spot. U.S. $20 gold pieces at $1,400. Silver rounds at $325. 800-951-0592. I saw a note out, and I think it was Goldman. One of them, Goldman, Morgan, Citi, saying that they believe that we'll know before the end of the month that the Federal Reserve is going to announce the end of their selling off of the balance sheet. And if you go out to like Kitco today, you'll see, I forget, it's 4, 5, 6 different banks now all saying $1,400 gold. I'm going to tell you right now, gold breaks $1,366. It's not stopping at 14. Take the time, put it away. You know what's coming. The increase in the destruction of our wealth is all that's going to really happen between now and the end of this cycle. 800-951-0592. Hopefully I'll get rid of whatever I got here, and I'll be back to full strength on Monday.